As the facilitator, I'm thrilled that the expert working group has published its initial report. It's fantastic that each of the dedicated team members were able to collaborate so effectively to reach consensus on so many key principles. As you read the report, please keep in mind that we have made all of these compromises after very carefully evaluating all aspects of this important and extremely difficult issue. Coming from so diverse backgrounds and potentially from so divergent interests, it's remarkable that all these team members converge so rapidly to this proposal with an unbiased attitude. I hope you will join me to agree that this initial report is a great step forward to better serve the community and already a breakthrough compared to the current WHOIS system. But the journey continues. We are all very much looking forward to receiving your constructive input before finalizing our recommendation.
We started with a clean slate approach to the entire issue, really taking a look at it as if we were developing a new product or service for a marketplace that was currently being served, but being served rather poorly. And how would we develop a service that would really satisfy the needs of the entire ecosystem that's out there? And so we did that by fairly common practice for product development or software development, and that's taking a look at the actors, the users, the people, the organizations that are out there currently interacting with the system, and determine the kind of goals that they had for interacting with the systems, what they're trying to accomplish, and develop from that a series of use cases. Use cases where you take a particular person, actor, and walk through the series of steps they need to do to accomplish whatever the goal it is they have for that particular use case. So from that, you're able to put together an entire matrix of this kind of information, the actors, the purposes, and all the various steps they need to go through, and then from that recommend various types of data structures, access rights, security, all the kinds of things you need to get a internet-based service up and running. And from that, what we were able to do is create an overall framework that really creates a purpose-driven type of model that informs kind of architecture concerns as well as various policies that you have to implement in order to accomplish those various goals for those various actors.
What is the purpose of making registration data available? It's a great question, and it's one that we've tried to answer. Now, what we found is that the purpose really is dependent on who you are as a requester. So to try to get at the different types of purposes and the different types of requesters or users, and to really try to answer this question of what is the purpose of making registration data available, we started by asking a very fundamental question, and that is, what does a registrant need to provide in order to register a domain name with a registrar? And from there, we started to build around what that data has been used for or could be used for, and all the different users who could want access to that data. Then we started getting into, well, for what purpose? We then started looking at, well, if there are different users and different purposes, are they requesting the same data? Are they requesting different data? Or are they requesting the same data for different purposes? Little by little, we started to tease that question out, and we came to what you see in our report, which is that there are multiple purposes for using registrant data. And that's because there are multiple users who use that data for different reasons.
Domain registrants tend not to supply accurate registration data in the present ways because they are concerned about possible abuse of their sensitive data, since all registration data are made available publicly. To build users' confidence, there's a need to keep certain registration data away from public glare and make them available only to some authorized users. This informs the introduction of gated access in the new registration data service. Data elements returned to requesters will depend on requesters' authenticated identity and purpose for needing data. Some basic data will still be publicly available, which should satisfy many ordinary needs without putting registrants' personal data at risk.
The experts working group has looked at three different ways of protecting privacy, three different levels. I'd like to stress that the normal requirements of data protection will be met in a routine way through the protection of personal data. The name, address, phone number will not be publicly available if the data protection regime in which the registrar is operating has indicated that this is a requirement. Today's privacy proxy services provide heightened protection for registrants who do not wish to have their addresses and/or their names published in the entirely public WHOIS of today. The EWG is continuing to formulate detailed recommendations about how accredited privacy and proxy services would function under the new proposed RDS. The EWG has also discussed possible models for greater protection, such as secure protected credentials. These would provide a maximum level of protection for individuals and groups who are most at risk. There are many individuals and groups who want to have domains on the internet who are not breaking generally accepted laws, but who might nevertheless be persecuted for what they post on the internet or for who they are. Journalists operating in war zones, groups who suffer religious or ethnic persecution and discrimination, political parties who've lost an election and are subject to censorship and persecution in their own countries, individuals who've experienced abuse or violence and have been granted new identities by their governments. All these may have legitimate needs to operate websites without their identity, information, and whereabouts being revealed to a registrar. For these situations, an independent organization versed in human rights might provide a service to at-risk individuals who want secure, protected credentials suitable for use in registering a domain name. The working group is seeking input on this proposal as it's a new concept.
The next generation registration data service, which is being proposed by the EWG today, seeks to strike a balance between the needs for privacy and the need for accurate and reliable registration data. It embodies the fundamental principle that registration data should be collected, validated, and then disclosed, but only for permissible purposes. And just as important, that certain types of information should be made available to authenticated requesters who should then be held accountable for its use. As you read the document, you will find that accountability is the common thread woven throughout. So in striking this balance, the EWG considered various system designs that might meet the user needs and purposes identified for a next generation registration data service. It looked at aggregated models, proxy models, and it also looked at distributed models, and in the end found that the aggregated model best fit those needs. So with this report, the EWG upends the old paradigm and is suggesting that a new model central repository service be created, and that is being called the Aggregated Registration Data Service, or ARDS. We believe that this aggregated system will benefit a broad swath of stakeholders, and here are some examples. The ARDS will take on some mundane tasks, which have historically been pushed off to the registrars and registries. Tasks like validating incoming data or maintaining Port 43 or web access to registration data. By taking on these mundane tasks, registrars and registries can now focus on their businesses as opposed to being distracted. The ARDS will also help law enforcement and intellectual property stakeholders sleep at night because it will be responsible for spot checking and auditing the information within its system with the goal of ensuring that we have more accurate and reliable data. As you will note in the report, the EWG's recommendations for a suggested model touches on three different areas. It touches on the collection, it touches on the maintenance, and it also touches on the disclosure of that information or the display of that information. While no model is perfect, we encourage you to read this report and comment it on these particular areas or on any other area within the report so that we as a community can put together a registration data service that benefits us all. Thank you.
The expert working group is excited to be sharing our initial report with the community, and we want your feedback. To better understand our proposals and conclusions, consider watching a webinar that we're holding on the 8th of July. You can make a comment by email or by filling in an online form which is posted at the ICANN website. And of course, in Durban, we'll be holding a meeting. It's on Monday, the 15th of July, and we'll walk you through our proposals and conclusions and then open the floor for your feedback and comment. We very much look forward to hearing what you think about our initial report and this opportunity to better meet everyone's needs for reliable registration data.